I believe Bitcoin is legitimate. I'm not trying to say there's not misuses like everything else, but it is a legitimate financial instrument that allows you to have maybe uncorrelated, non-correlated type of returns. I believe it is an instrument that you invest in when you're more frightened, though. It is an instrument when you believe that countries are debasing their currency, debasing their currency by excess deficits.
People say Bitcoin, they think digital gold. When they say Ethereum, they think tokenization, they think stable coins, they think DeFi. If you want to invest in those things, if you want to invest in the growth of tokenization, Ethereum is like the picks and shovels play. It underpins all of it. You can't have tokenization today without Ethereum. You can't have a robust stablecoin market.
Larry Fink sees Bitcoin as a hedge against economic instability and currency debasement. In countries where governments run excessive deficits and debase their currencies, Bitcoin offers a way to preserve value. Additionally, in regions with economic uncertainty and political instability, Bitcoin provides a means for individuals to maintain financial control outside of their country's jurisdiction. Fink likens Bitcoin to digital gold, emphasizing its role as a safe haven asset. He believes Bitcoin should be considered alongside other asset classes as a means to diversify portfolios. While Bitcoin is not an instrument for optimism, it serves as a hedge against global economic fears and uncertainties. Matt Hougan emphasizes the importance of Ethereum in the realm of tokenization and decentralized finance. Ethereum acts as the backbone for many blockchain applications, enabling the development of robust stablecoin markets and other tokenized assets. Please take a little time to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more videos like this. You can also check out our other videos on cryptocurrencies and the overall digital asset space and drop your comments and observations in the comments section below. Everything you do helps with the YouTube algorithm and immensely contributes to the channel's growth. Thanks and enjoy the video.
I studied it, learned about it, and I came away saying, okay, my opinion 5 years ago was wrong. Here's my opinion today. This is what I believe in today. I believe the opportunity today. I believe Bitcoin is legitimate. I'm not trying to say there's not misuses like everything else, but it is a legitimate financial instrument that allows you to have maybe uncorrelated, non-correlated type of returns. I believe it is an instrument that you invest in when you're more frightened, though. It is an instrument when you believe that countries are debasing their currency, debasing their currency by excess deficits, and some countries are. I believe we have countries where you're frightened of your everyday existence, and if you have an opportunity to invest in something that is outside your country's control, then you can have more financial control. And so I'm a major believer that there is a role for Bitcoin in portfolios. I believe you're going to see that as one of the asset classes that we all look at. I look at it as digital gold, as I said before, and I do believe there's a real need for everyone to look at it as one alternative to, I would say, the optimism that I have in the world. If you want to hedge hope, Bitcoin is not an instrument for hope unless you're hopeful you're going to make a lot of money on it. But I look at it as a vehicle in which you're expressing your financial acumen in something that you're more frightened of the world, you're more frightened of your existence. And I believe there's a great industrial use for it. And I think a lot of people are missing that. This weekend is a wake-up call to the rising hatred. At the same time, it's a wake-up call that we must change, and I think that wake-up call allows us to change. We need a fair and just system, so let's be clear. We need to have ways of having conversations about opportunity. There's too much conversation about the negatives. We need to have conversations about the opportunity and the positives. And we need to inform more people that there's real opportunity ahead, but we need to be helping people who are struggling in this path. But I travel the world. I've traveled the world the last few months. There is no more opportunity here in the United States than any other place in the world. And I say that with pride, and I say that with a sheer strength in my conviction that we are a place of growth. And I believe that is going to be the opportunity for companies like BlackRock to show that and to prove that and to provide that. We announced LifePath Paycheck to give more hope for retirement. We're about to close our GIP transaction right now, and so we believe the opportunity for infrastructure investing to invest, to create new job, better job, bigger job. We have that opportunity. At BlackRock, we had an amazing quarter where we had the biggest quarter in our history of $150 billion of flows in ETFs. No other quarter ever, $150 billion of flows. And so we're in a position now of having these conversations, whether it's the conversations that we're having related to ETFs or what we're having through infrastructure or in Rick Reader's funds or what we're doing in AI and investing in our quantitative systematic equity teams. We've had great performance. The last quarter we had 12% revenue, 12% operating income growth. We had 160 basis points in margin increase, which tells you we have $2 trillion more in assets today than we did a year ago, and the same amount of employees. Okay, $2 trillion more in assets, the same amount of employees. That is technology at work.
I think a lot of people do it. I think that's going to drive demand. When people say Bitcoin, they think digital gold. When they say Ethereum, they think tokenization. They think stable coins. They think DeFi. If you want to invest in those things, if you want to invest in the growth of tokenization, Ethereum is like the picks and shovels play. It underpins all of it. You can't have tokenization today without Ethereum. You can't have a robust stablecoin market. Yeah. I do think we will get there, but to contextualize that, remember that the Bitcoin ETFs were by far and away the most successful of all time. The number one ETF before those gathered $5 billion in 1 year. So if we get 5 or 10 or $15 billion in the first 2 years of these Ethereum ETFs, that is a massive runaway success. Now, I do think that's where we're going. Could take a few months to build, but it would be both achievable and remarkable, and I think would set up Ethereum to do very well. And what's even more remarkable is the flows have been steady, whether Bitcoin's price has been going up or going down. There was this worry in the market that these would be weak-handed buyers, that they would panic the first moment Bitcoin's price hit a period of volatility, which of course it always does. But guess what? We had flows in Q1 when the price was going up. We've had flows in Q2 when the price is going down. We've had flows in the last week. What is happening again is people who are starting from zero are starting to build positions in Bitcoin. And as Nate mentioned, they walk and they crawl and they walk and they run. And we're just getting to the walk and the run part. So I really think that consistency is an important part of this flow story. Yeah, well, if you think about gold back in 2004, it was a niche commodity that wasn't in mainstream portfolios, and it was hard to buy. You could buy gold miners, or you could buy closed-end funds. That's the same with Bitcoin. It's a relatively niche commodity. It's not yet in mainstream portfolios. It was hard to buy. But all of a sudden we get a Bitcoin ETF. All of a sudden Larry Fink's talking about Bitcoin on CNBC, and now it's moving into the mainstream. And I think that's going to be a multi-year story. I think what you're seeing is this sort of the birth of a new asset class. I think the right analogy to make is back to the original gold ETF approval in 2004. And the thing I find interesting there, which people forget, that was one of the most successful ETF launches of all time. It pulled in $1.5 billion in 2004. But guess what? In 2005, it did more than $3 billion. In 2006, it did more than $4 billion. In 2007, it did more than $5 billion. It kept building year after year. And that's what I don't think people realize about these Bitcoin ETFs. This was a huge first half, but I think the second half could be bigger. And I think next year could be bigger than that.
According to Fink, is crucial for all countries, especially in the face of rising deficits. He advocates for policies that promote growth through infrastructure investments, innovation, and reduced regulatory burdens. He warns that relying on public deficits is unsustainable and calls for the private sector to drive economic expansion. Fink highlights the urgency of addressing deficits, noting that the U.S. deficit has grown exponentially over the past 2 decades. He argues that without robust economic growth, these deficits will become a significant burden on future generations. Thus, finding ways to minimize the impact of deficits on the economy, interest rates, and inflation is paramount.
We need unfettered businesses right now. We need growth. And we're going to get growth from the private sector. We can't rely on public deficits anymore. The public deficits are just growing too fast as a percent of GDP. As a perspective, our deficits were only $8 trillion in 2020. They're going to be at $26 trillion, $36 trillion. We grew our deficits more than $1 trillion a year over the last 24 years. This is unheard of. It is at an unsustainable level. Yet we have the most dynamic capitalistic system in the world. We have great companies. We have great ingenuity, great technology. Let it unbound, let it go, create great jobs, create opportunities, and we'll have a rising equity market that will really fuel this opportunity. I believe both political candidates need to be playing that playbook. So let's start there. And what happened this weekend is a tragedy. It is a statement of America today, though. We need to create hope. All of us have a responsibility. Every political candidate, every leader, every pastor, minister, rabbi, we all have a responsibility of bringing our community together to bring hope. And that's what we are here for, to bring hope, to provide a better future. Well, growth is probably the most important component for all countries in the world today. I spoke at the G7 recently. I did an editorial. We need to find ways of growth, especially in front of an election right now. Both candidates need to talk about growth, need to find ways of creating optimism and creating opportunities for growth. Growth is not going to come from tax cuts. That's too short term. Growth is not going to come from tax increases. We need to be building America. We need to be reducing the extensive process of permitting. We have an infrastructure boom that is necessary, whether it is for digitization, decarbonization. We are blessed by having energy efficiency here in this country, and we can do so much as a country right now, but we're inhibited by our controls. And we need to be growing out of this. And this is my message, not just to the U.S., but to every country right now. We have rising deficits. No one is spending enough time talking about deficits. The U.S. deficits are the largest in the world, growing at the fastest rate in the world. And we need to be finding ways of minimizing the role of the deficits on the economy, on interest rates, on inflation. And so we need to grow. And if we can't grow out of this, these deficits are going to be becoming a big burden. And we're going to be really putting on the backs of our children, our grandchildren, a real burden of these massive, massive spends that we can't afford.
Larry Fink's insights offer a comprehensive view of the evolving financial landscape. He envisions a future where digital assets like Bitcoin and Ethereum play a central role in investment portfolios. As these assets gain mainstream acceptance, they will provide new opportunities for diversification and growth. Fink's shift from skepticism to advocacy highlights the transformative potential of digital assets. His perspective underscores the importance of staying informed and adaptable in the face of rapid technological advancements and economic changes. Please like and subscribe my channel.